My guest today has her own community TV program highlighting local events, and she's passionate about her Italian heritage. More when we come back. Stay tuned.
Welcome to The Better Part, a program by and for seniors and devoted to exploring the many facets of those better years of our lives. The name of our program is inspired by a quotation from Robert Browning. Grow old along with me.
Everything that has to do with being Italian. So I just want to say I'm ready for next year's event, and I hope you are too. So don't forget, when I'm on the town, you're on the town.
To provide seniors with useful information, plus some lighter moments to brighten your day.
Hi, I'm Val Jeffrey. My guest has her own weekly TV program on San Jose Cable, Channel 15. Her program, On the Town, covers local events and features our local cities. There's always plenty to do around here, and it's always good to meet people who give their time to the community. I'd like to introduce the producer and host of On the Town, Judy Verona Joseph. Welcome, Judy.
Thank you, Val. It's a pleasure to be here.
So I first got bitten by the TV bug when The Better Part took me under their wing. How did you get bitten by the TV bug?
It was October 2005, and there was an Italian festival at Santana Row in San Jose. I was in charge of public relations and marketing, and another television show came around, Spotlight TV, I believe it was, and the fellow was looking for someone to host the show that day. And he said, well, you know what's going on here because, you know, you helped put it together. And I said, well, I've never held a microphone before. And he said, well, you know, give it a try. He handed me the microphone, and I didn't have any problem talking, that's for sure. And I went around and interviewed, you know, the entertainers, the people at the food booths, and that's how I got the bug. And the following week he called me and said, you know, they're going to have the grand opening of the new San Jose City Hall. Would you like to host the show and interview the mayor? And I said I would be delighted. And that was it.
Straight in there.
Yes.
So how do you get the ideas for your programs?
Well, you know, a lot of the events are featured online at different event websites, you know, different newspapers, different magazines. And now with having the show with over 1 year now, people call us. You know, like say, oh, you know, we covered a Japanese cultural event last year. They called us again to cover it this year. So, you know, word of mouth too, or they'll see us at events and say, oh, we have an event coming up. Can you come out and cover it?
Was it your husband that started you off, if I remember right?
Well, yes, I was with the other show for about 1 year, just being the hostess. And I said, you know, I want to put some of my creative abilities into a show, but, you know, I'm not sure what I should do at this point. And my husband said, well, why don't you get your own show? You know, fill out an application and see if there's an available slot. And I said, really? And he says, yes, I'll buy the equipment. So I couldn't turn down that offer.
Offer you can't refuse.
I know. So I did, and I actually got a time slot, I think in about 2.5 months. And then we started thinking of the name, and my husband and I collaborated on that, and we
How
came
did you
up
come up with it?
Well, we were just going back and forth with, you know, different names, and finally, I forget which one of us said On the Town, and it stuck. We both really liked it, and so On the Town started. Actually, was February 3rd, 2007 was the first show.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
We first met you, The Better Part first met you at the Italian Festival. So let's start with that. Tell me about the Italian Festival.
Well, the Italian Festival was September last year, 2007, and my film crew and I were down in Willow Glen on Lincoln Avenue, and we were filming the Italian Festival. So it was, you know, filming the entertainers, going around to the food booths, arts and craft booths, and so we were down there just having a great time. And so I know The Better Part was down there, and I met some of your crew,
And helps us out.
And
I have
helped
to
you
say,
out.
thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. I lent you some footage because I think some of you had a technical difficulty
we had
or something.
a camera problem.
And I was more than happy to lend you the footage. So, and thank you for using it and giving me the credit. We appreciate it very much.
I'm sorry we had a mishap with the spelling of your name, but we'll get it right this time.
Oh, thank you. Just like the city in Italy, Verona.
We got it.
Thank you.
So, what are the other Italian things that you've covered? Concorso
Well, there's
Italiano.
Concorso Italiano,
Mm-hmm.
and it's held every year. It's in the Monterey area. It's the largest Italian car show in the world. So if you're a car aficionado, this event is for you because we're talking fields of Lamborghinis, Maseratis, Ferraris. It's fabulous. And just Italian entertainment, Italian fashion shows, Italian food, everything Italian. So you could say that I was in my element.
A lot of bucks there in those cars.
Oh yes, some people have invested a lot in those cars, definitely.
But you don't just cover Italian events. I know it's your passion, and I know you'd like to do nothing but that. But comes to mind Cinco de Mayo in San Jose.
We covered Cinco de Mayo last year, and before the event started, I was able to interview San Jose's Mayor Chuck Reed, San Jose City Council member Pierluigi Oliverio, and Sam Liccardo. And a lot of families, very colorful, very cultural, with beautiful, outfits. A lot of men on horses, with the big sombreros, and it was fabulous. Children dancing in the street. We really enjoyed it.
And what else in San Jose?
We covered the Vietnamese Spring Festival. It's also a yearly event. And you learn about other cultures too, and their food and the different type of clothes that they wear, and it's wonderful. We also covered the Greek Festival, and that was a lot of fun. My camera person and I actually got up and did some of the Greek dancing, and they fed us the Greek food, and they have the children of all different ages doing the customary Greek dances. And so we really enjoyed it. So we try to cover as many cultural events as we possibly can.
Right. And then there was the San Jose Grand Prix. I'm very envious of you.
Oh.
Paul Newman.
Oh, the San Jose Grand Prix. Well, they had it 3 years in a row last year. Unfortunately, the last year. But we had a chance meeting with actor Paul Newman. And probably one of the highlights of my life, because not only that he's a legendary actor, he's a humanitarian, and he was there supporting the event, in particular the Canary Foundation. And the Canary Foundation is the early detection of cancer. I was absolutely delighted when he said yes, that he stood up and
what
gave me
did you say to him? Hey, Paul, can I interview you?
Well, actually, I had worked with someone years ago that was into race car driving. I knew Paul Newman. So I dropped his name, and he said, "Oh my goodness, you know him?" I said, "Yes." And at that moment, I said, "Mr. Newman, can I have a couple minutes?" And he stood up. Of course, I almost fainted, but but a delightful man. It's not about himself. Like I said, he's a humanitarian. He gives of his time and his money with all the Newman products to help people.
That's very gracious of him.
Yes.
What about Cinequest? Now, you met W.H. Macy, maybe?
Oh, several stars. Cinequest is San Jose's film festival. So over the years, I've met William H. Macy, Edward James Olmos, Minnie Driver, and this year I met the actor Michael Keaton, one of my favorites. You might remember him from Batman.
Yeah, sure.
Danny Glover. And so it's kind of my Super Bowl of the year, if you will. I love Cinequest. So, and it's not a problem getting any of the crew to come out either, because we just really enjoy it.
Let's go a little bit further afield. How about Saratoga?
Saratoga, we have the beautiful Hakone Gardens. And last year we covered the Hakone Matsuri Festival. And it's a beautiful setting, if anyone's been there, as you know, with the beautiful waterfalls, The landscape is just gorgeous. And they called us back, and so we'll be covering it again. And we really enjoy going to Saratoga a lot.
What kind of questions do you ask when you're in that kind of setting as opposed to in the town, on the town?
Well, I would say, Val, about 90% of the interviews are just, you just have to get out there and, for lack of better words, on the fly. A lot of times there's no time to rehearse because you really don't know the kind of environment or setting that you're going to be walking into. A lot of times people will walk up to you and say, you put me on camera, can you interview me? And I just spend a couple minutes with them, getting their name and background, and then I just go ahead and start asking questions, about the event, how long the event's been going on, their role with the event, and it's kind of natural, and they seem to like it, and I know I like it, so it's a lot of fun.
What about the people in the street? Do you wait for them to come to you, or do you ask them questions?
It's both ways. We call it like the man on the street interview. We were walking out of the San Jose Convention Center last year at the San Jose Grand Prix, and there were two fellas, and they look like nice guys, and I said, just a minute, we have a couple questions, and it worked out great. They were really into race car driving. It had been their third year in a row that they had attended the San Jose Grand Prix, and the interview turned out great, and again, it was on the fly.
Campbell, downtown, wonderful place.
Wonderful place.
You've covered a few things there too.
Campbell is a wonderful town, very family-oriented, a lot of community spirit. We've covered the Bunnies and Bonnets Parade. It's an annual parade, and you get a lot of families to come out. And they also had a Veterans Memorial event last November 2007. It was actually on Veterans Day. So a lot of dignitaries were present and a lot of veterans from all the different wars. And what they're trying to do is have a memorial there. I think it's close to the library in Campbell, representing the veterans from all the wars. And so they have a fundraising event going on right now. Actually, it's going on all the time to try to raise money for the memorial. I think it's a wonderful idea.
You've told us about the Vietnamese festival. What were the highlights of that?
Well, we were just in awe of the beautiful, beautiful dresses that the Vietnamese women wore. And I had a co-host with me, Hong Nguyen, and it was really wonderful for her to come out because she knew of all the customs and everything. And after the parade, we were invited back to the Civic Auditorium, where they had wonderful entertainment, some which they had flown in from Vietnam, singing in the traditional Vietnamese dialogue. And Hung was just instrumental in helping co-host because some of them did not speak English, and she was there to translate it and just described everything that was going on, and it was wonderful.
Does the translation pose a problem when you're interviewing?
At times, but we're somehow able to get through it, and I enjoy it, and I really work at making people feel comfortable. That's important.
I think you get more out of people when you make them feel comfortable. It's about them, it's not about us, right?
Exactly. I totally agree with you.
What about the Greek festival?
Well, we were able to go right into where they were cooking many of the foods. One of the Greek traditional food is lamb, and they actually had it on, the fire going around and everything, and they were describing it.
I love lamb. Yeah. Oh, yum.
And some of the sandwiches that they make and how they make it. Some of their desserts, it's fried and in a heavy batter, but it tastes great. So we sampled everything. And again, wonderful people. The Greeks are kind of similar to the Italians, I think. Love of family, love of food. So we enjoyed it. We were in our element again.
There's so many events going on. Every city has their own. You can't possibly cover them all. So how do you make the decision which ones you're going to go and cover?
Well, I think if we've covered the event before and we're welcome back, and and we've had a really good time. We're really motivated to go back again, such as the Hakone Matsuri and the Greek Festival. But we also like to cover different events. It's a challenge to go to something, different, and also out of the city too. Going down to Monterey, but a lot of people in San Jose or in Campbell are not able to go down to Monterey, but they're able to see an event in Monterey on my show.
Yeah, we were always a bit worried that when we show things in Cupertino that it may not go off very well other places, but everybody has time to travel.
Yes.
And if you know what's going on in the towns, it brings tourists to our cities.
It does. And, it's amazing that, when we go down to Monterey, they'll say, oh, where does your show air? And I'll say, well, San Jose, Campbell, and Saratoga. And so they're excited that their event is going to be shown in 3 different cities.
You talked about Paul Newman.
Yes.
What other famous people have you interviewed?
Well, one year at the Concorso Italiano, there was Jay Leno. He loves cars. And he was there looking at, I believe, at a vintage Morgan sports car. And I thought, well, might as well go in and introduce myself, and so I did. And so we had a great interview and a lot of laughs. Jay Leno, he's funny.
I love him. He's the only person I'll stay up late for.
Same here. And I interviewed actor, comedian Paul Rodriguez. And recently, not too long ago, I interviewed Rachel Ray.
Oh, interesting.
Lovely person, with her cooking show, her cookbooks, her magazines. She's just so popular now, but very gracious and very, very nice. I really enjoyed meeting her.
Is she as bubbly off of the set as she is on?
More so, I think. Just very bubbly, perky, and outgoing. She's a real humanitarian herself, too, and gives of her time. And she was fabulous. She had a Q&A right there at Santana Row, and she was answering questions, and just giving advice on cooking and everything. And then later she started her book signing, and very nice person.
What about not just famous people, but famous cars? Seem to remember
famous
maybe
cars.
Elvis's car?
Oh, yes. Well, when we were down at Concorso Italiano, when it ended, we went over to the Monterey Peninsula area downtown, and they were having a car auction going on. And we met a really nice gentleman, Terry, who was kind of overseeing the car auction. And he said, would you like to see some famous cars owned by famous people? Well, of course. So one of them was, I believe it was a 1956 Cadillac, one of the first Cadillacs that Elvis Presley bought and owned. So there was a whole history there that he gave us about the Cadillac. The other car was a Carmen Ghia, and it was custom made for Mr. Dean Martin.
Wow.
Beautiful.
Did they let you sit in it?
They let me sit in it, and our cameraman, kind of honed in on a plate that was in there, and it actually said, custom made for Mr. Dean Martin.
Wow.
I believe Frank Sinatra owned one too. It was the car at the time in the 1960s.
Not just cars, though. Motorcycle? Famous motorcycle?
Well, that was at the Grand Prix. It's the largest motorcycle in the world. You actually have to climb a ladder to get inside of the motorcycle, which I did. And they filmed me climbing into the motorcycle. And it was great because once inside the motorcycle, you could really see what was going on at the event. So I had my camera guy hand me the microphone, and so we were just kind of, up there and saying, oh, and this car is right from the motorcycle. It was so much fun.
And that was in the Guinness Book of Records even, I believe, was it?
The largest motorcycle in the world is in the Guinness Book of Records, yes.
Well, a famous person like you also gets to be in a magazine. Tell me about the magazine article.
Oh, well, it's a Bay Area Italian magazine, and how that came about was the publisher of the magazine and I met the very famous Italian rock and blues superstar, Zucchero. One name, Zucchero, and by the way, that means sugar in Italian. So we met him, and we interviewed him, and I had the interview on my show. In addition, the publisher put it in his magazine. So we made sure after it was aired and the magazine came out that we gave a copy to Zuccaro's manager. And they called and thanked us, and he's supposed to come back again next year, so I hope he does.
Well, it was a big glossy magazine and you look beautiful.
Well, thank you, Val. Thank you.
How many people does it take to make your programs? Here in the studio we have about like 11 people, and you're out in the cities, you can't take a big entourage with you. So how many people?
Well, 3 to 4. We either have 1 camera or 2 cameras, and then I always take a digital photographer with me because, you know, you get a lot of good shots, and I can take those, put them on my website, or we can give them out to people that were at the event that were not able to take photographs. So it varies. Most of the work that we do is on the outside. I hardly ever, I'm in a studio like you and I are right now. So.
Yeah. That's, it's interesting doing the editing too for something when you've got a lot of shots and you're trying to figure out what you're going to use. Do you have any say in the editing?
Yes, I do. Most of the time I view it, I run it through my TV at home, and then I take notes and I give it to my editor, and she's fabulous. She does a great job, and I've been working with her for some time now. And then a lot of times I just trust her judgment. You know, she knows what she's doing, so, you know, I just go, okay, go ahead, you know, give me your best opinion on this, and she does. So.
You make On the Town really as a community service.
Yes.
What do you do in real life?
Well, I do marketing and public relations. You know, people that are in need of help for an event, need press releases done, marketing, need a flyer done, or promotional work. You know, and I work with entertainers too, which I love. So you could say that my whole entire life right now is really in the entertainment world, because the show is entertainment itself as well.
You look so comfortable with your guests. Do you do a lot of research before you go somewhere, or is it all spontaneous? It looks spontaneous.
Well, if I have a one-on-one interview, such as my interview with Zucchero, the Italian rock star, yes, I study, and you know, I have some cue cards and everything, but I do study. But when I go out to an event, most of the time, yes, because you want to know a little bit of history about the event. You want to try to have a little background on the person that is overseeing the event, and if it's a cultural event, you know, learn about the costumes, learn a little bit about the dance. And I find if you don't know about it, if you're not 100% accurate, the person that you're interviewing gives you the complete story. And I like that, to give a little background of, you know, their traditional dances or food.
You mentioned to me that your mum loved your program.
Yes.
She's actually your #1 fan, right?
Yes.
Tell me about your mum.
Well, my mom unfortunately passed away this past January. But before she passed away, she would just tell everybody in the world, and a lot of it I didn't even know about until she passed, about the show. And there was a newspaper article about me in the show. And one day she asked me for about 20 copies. And I found out later she was sending them out to all her friends.
Oh.
And just encouraging me, because this was something new in my life, and new to her, something that I had never tried before. But she always gave me encouragement, you know, kind of like, you can do it. And
she was there for you. She kept you going.
Yes. Yes, she did. And with your permission, I would like to dedicate this show in the memory of my mother.
The Better Part will be very proud to dedicate this program to your mother.
Thank you, Val. I appreciate it.
Enjoyed talking with you, Judy.
Same here, Val.
Lots of information, and you have lots of fun going out on the town, I know.
Yes.
It would be very appropriate if you would close with your tagline.
I'd love to. Do you want to join me?
Sure, that would be great fun.
Okay. When I'm on the town, you're on the town.
When the moon hits your eye like a big pizza pie, that's amore. When the world seems to shine like you've had too much wine, that's amore. There's a ring, ting-a-ling-a-ling, ting-a-ling-a-ling, and you'll sing the beat of it. Hearts will play tippy tippy tay, tippy tippy tay, like a guitar on the when the stars make you blue, just like a pasta puzzle, that's amore. When you dance down the street with a crowd at your feet, you're in love. I love that note. When you are in a dream, when you know you're not dreaming, signore. Excuse me, but you see back in old Napoli, that's amore. You all know the song? Help us out. All right, come on, let's do it here. Jerry Lewis. Must be Irish. Lucky fella. Stars make it through just like a pasta puzzle. That's amore. When you dance down the street with a crowd at your feet, you're in love. When you walk in a dream, but you know you're not dreaming, signore. Excuse me, but you see like an old Napoli, that's amore. That's amore.
We hope that you've enjoyed today's program and will join us again. Copies of this program and all our programs are available on DVD and VHS. You can contact The Better Part either through the Cupertino Senior Center at 408-777-3150 or by visiting our website, thebetterpart.com. We would love to hear from you. Thank you for watching.